I will be discussing the general journal. I will be using tutorial 2 week 5 as an example, how to identify the two accounts that's going to be affected and how to allocate it into the general journal. The first account says Mr. Jack sold personal investment in Barlow Rand shares for 1,922 and begins his business by depositing 1,800 of the proceeds in a bank account opened in the name of the business. Bank is going to be debited with 1,800 and then capital is going to be credited with 1,800. The second transaction says paid the 3 months rent in advance on the shop space for 675 Rand. This is for 3 months, meaning that the full amount has to go into the bank and that's going to be credited, and then rent expense is going to be debited with 675 Rand. The third transaction says purchase repair equipment for 700 cash and paid per check, meaning that repair equipment is going to increase on the debit side and then bank is going to be credited due to it is an outflow of cash. The fourth transaction says complete repair work for customers and collected 506 Rand, meaning that bank is going to be debited with 506 Rand and then service rendered is going to be credited. The fifth transaction says purchase additional repair equipment on credit from Hutton's Hardware for 416 Rand. Your equipment is going to increase on the debit side and then your account payables is going to be increasing on the credit side with 416. The sixth transaction says completed repair work on credit for Davy Crockett for 175 Rand. This means that your debtors control is going to increase with 175 Rand and then your service rendered is going to be increasing on the credit side for 175 Rand. The seventh transaction says paid Hutton Hardware 291 Rand of the amount owed to it. This shows that your creditors control is going to be decreasing on the debit side with 291 and then bank is going to be decreasing on the credit side with 291 Rand. The eighth transaction says paid the local radio station 75 Rand for announcement of the shop opening. Advertising is going to be debited with 75 Rand and then bank is going to be credited with 75 Rand. Transaction 9 says Davy Crockett paid for the work completed on 18 February. Davy Crockett is one of your debtors, so meaning that his account is going to be zero balance because he paid his amount of 175 in full. Bank is going to be debited with 175 Rand and then your debtors control or your accounts receivable is going to be credited with 175 Rand. The second last transaction says Mr. Jack distributed 350 Rand cash from the business to cover his personal expenses. Bank is going to be credited and then drawings is going to be debited with the amount of 350 Rand. The last transaction says account for rent expense for February, meaning that you have to account for it into your books. It is rent expense is going to be debited and bank is going to be credited with the amount of 675 divided by 3. 1 month's rent is going to be 225 Rand. This is going to be rent expense. And then you've got your bank of 225 Rand. The total amount on the debit and credit side has to balance. If it's not balancing, you made a mistake. That